Before we get into today's mailbag, if you are unable to watch live, you can't be part of the hashtag NFL question crew, that is okay. You can hit me up on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. I will appreciate your DMs over the bots that have flooded that particular social media site. So hit me up on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. Lore, always the first person with a question, and I appreciate that about you, my friend. How many picks the Niners have to give up to get Arden Key? I think it's one. I think that's a day 3 pick. Let me pull up what picks the Niners have here, by the way, minus their comp picks. I don't think it's going to be overly expensive. Like, Arden Key with the Niners, I think makes a lot of sense. Like, he's a short-term solution for a team that just desperately needs options. They just don't have the bodies right now because they are so decimated by injuries. Like, they are banged up as all get out. They've lost so many players. Now, they did move one of those picks, I believe, for Bryce Huff, who also got hurt but was playing well. I think Arden Key is a perfect fit in San Francisco. I'm looking at their picks right now. They're a little light, but I think they've got an extra 6th. I don't know. I think they actually are super light on the picks. I'm looking at it. They're down to 7, but they got a 6 back for it. I think mid to late day 3 pick is probably all they have to give up there. That Red Sox fan, are the Patriots going to make a pivotal trade? I think that they would like to. I just don't know if they're going to be able to. I think the Patriots in general, it's kind of going to be weird to say, be very happy with how good they have been. Drake May looks like everything I thought he was going to be coming out because I loved him coming out of North Carolina. I think they're kind of like exceeding their own talent level. Like, I don't think that receiving core is that good. I don't think the offensive line is that good. I think Mike Vrabel, again, is getting his team to do more than what the talent level indicates. You know, could they search for an edge rusher? I think that could make some sense. Does Jalen Phillips fit that mold? Would they trade him in division? So, like, I would almost wonder if the Patriots are better off not making the exact same mistake the Commanders did by investing too much into an aging player, for example, and being a bit disappointed. I think they should still be in the we are building upwards. Any player you get, make sure that they're young and have some long-term impact for you. Those guys are tough to find. But I think maybe edge, receiver, I think those are areas that they'll certainly be monitoring. CTE crew, if the Dolphins got offered a first for Jaylen Waddle, would they say yes? They might. I think Waddle's really good. I think he's a fun player. He's dynamic. He's impactful. He's one of the best. I guess now he's a receiver 1, but had to be one of the best like wide receiver 1Bs to the 1A and Tyreek Hill. First round pick. Start waving those around. People get intrigued. Like, the Giants offered a first round pick. Maybe the Giants shouldn't though trade their first round pick because that could be a top 10 pick again. So I think mid-season they probably don't get that offer. But that's type of like strong offer that makes you go, maybe. Between this video going out and the end of the 2025 NFL trade deadline, how many more trades do we get? Let me know in the comment section your predictions of today's show. How many more trades for the NFL trade deadline? From the Golden Eagle, being a Giants fan, any truth to Kayvon being moved? The Giants get a wide receiver repping finally for Dart. I think they've been exploring, and I think this has been reported pretty late, they've been looking around at the wide receiver market. I don't think it's quite what they were hoping for. Like, the big fish, guys like Jaylen Waddle, I don't know if they are available in the end. Rashid Shaheed actually might be a decent idea, which would be kind of funny because he's just the supercharged version of Darius Slayton, and then why'd you pay Darius Slayton? But like long-term, he's such a good fit with Malik Neighbors. Like that lets Neighbors do everything else. Doesn't have to just be a deep threat. Like, I love that fit. Trading the top 90 pick is a little bit dicey for the Giants with where they might be picking. And that concerns ownership in the end. I think teams have called on Kayvon Thibodeaux. That part is true. Giants moving him, I'm not so sure. And I would say probably not, unless they get a super strong offer that I think is at least a second. And even if it's a second, they might end up saying no. Vikings fans, should the Vikings trade for a running back and or trade for a quarterback to back up Max Brosmer and J.J. McCarthy? So I would say by the time this video goes out, Minnesota will have added another quarterback. Whether it's a veteran, they go trade for some older guy, or they sign somebody. Like, I think they're going to have to add somebody because they don't want to roll into a game with J.J. McCarthy and Maxx Brosmer, and they're like 8 quarters of play combined in real games. That's very dicey for a young quarterback room. Who that veteran is, I'm not sure. We'll see. I would not trade for a running back, though. I think getting Aaron Jones healthy will be good. Jordan Mason, I still like him. Xavier Scott can do some third down stuff. I know they didn't run the ball that great against the Chargers. The game script, I think, was a pretty big factor there. I don't think they need to go get it back. Christopher C., is it time for Pittsburgh to move on from Tomlin? I'd love to give him the end of his contract and rebuild. Here's the issue you kind of run into here. If you're Mike Tomlin, why would you coach the final year of your deal? Like, that's just not job security for you for how long you've been with this franchise. Like, at that point, you're like, okay, guys, give me a deal here. What are we doing? The Tomlin era and the John Harbaugh era, maybe, probably similar to the Andy Reid era, where, like, it just might, for the first time around, just might be time. Like, I get the offense has been bad for Mike Tomlin. You pick the coordinators. You get quarterback influence too. Like, the buck does stop with the head coach at some point. And the defense is now very stagnant, which I think is a pretty big red flag there. It might be time for a refresh. We'll see. The rest of the year is going to play out first. It's tough to move on from Tomlin if they once again win 9-10 games and make the playoffs, but that defense kind of got to get going here. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. You can get in on the action in more than 40-plus states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. It is the only app that offers stacks. The same play up to 3 times in the same lineup. Maybe Josh Allen more than passing, rushing yards, and touchdowns. You can also follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. A friend, somebody partner, or someone whose picks you like. Do it all in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. One of our Prize Picks lineups this week, Cameron Dicker, the kicker, more than 7.5 points against the Titans. Jimmy DK, more than a half touchdown. And Justin Herbert, more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. From Dead Inside. Do you see the Ravens being aggressive in acquiring Quinnen Williams? That defense badly misses Madubuike. I do agree that they miss him pretty badly. They don't have, like, I like Travis Jones a lot, but they don't have that disruptive interior presence, like, without Madubuike. You know, Urban and Jenkins are run cloggers. CJ Okoye is a clogger. Aeneas Peebles, I liked him coming out, but he's a 6th-round rookie. I think Ravens defensive tackle was an underrated trade idea for Baltimore to pursue. I just don't know if the Jets would say yes for anything other than a first-round pick. And the Ravens just might be inclined to keep that first-round pick. But I do think you're spot on. They really miss Madubuike. TV and sleep. Should the Giants trade for Jordan Addison? Can they include a trade package with Winston and a pick? I don't think the Vikings want a starter. I think they want the veteran backup. So that pick's going to have to be super expensive because Minnesota is extremely invested in making J.J. McCarthy work. If it doesn't work with McCarthy, you're going to start losing jobs because you let Sam Darnold go. He looks great in Seattle. So trading away your number 2 receiver, who's done really good stuff, by the way, since he came back from his suspension, for a pick that's not, like, frankly, a first-rounder, which is a lot and probably too much for the Giants. That's why I think that deal does not end up going down. Dave, did Kirk Cousins sink his trade value this week? I think the biggest issue is the money. A team would take on Kirk Cousins for the vet minimum, but the Falcons don't want to eat that amount of money. He wasn't good. I don't know. I get that the Falcons kind of late in the week ended up losing Drake London, and they had a tough time running the ball against one of the NFL's worst run defenses. But like, I mean, I get it. Like, why were you not throwing it to Darnell Mooney more? Like, why are you throwing 8 targets to Kaderil Hodge? How does that make sense? So I just think, like, for the cost, no one's going to be very interested. Will the Falcons trade Kirk Cousins this year or next offseason? Which I think is still probably nothing he gets cut. But why for yes and for no? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Pai Young G, should the Seahawks go for Chris Olave? And how many picks? I assume CO is Chris Olave. If not, I guess I'm answering the wrong question. I don't mind the idea of Seattle adding another wide receiver. I think Olave's price point is going to be because Saints trying to work on an extension. Is that a leverage movement? I don't know. Like, the narrative would be they tried to work on an extension, couldn't do it, so they traded him. But that's probably going to be at least a 2, if not a little bit more, given how wonky the wide receiver market in general is. Super duper wonky. For years now, we've had so many weird trades. Metcalf for a 2, Pickens for a 3, a reasonable. Mohamed Sanu for a 2 at the deadline. Those are always weird. Christopher C. Should Pittsburgh extend Rodgers by 1 year, draft a quarterback day 1, so should have sit and learn for a year? Here's how I suspect the Aaron Rodgers thing plays out. Assuming, like, the Steelers, do their normal stuff, there's no injuries, whatever, Rodgers might not make his call again until, like, July. Like, would anyone be surprised by that? Would anyone be surprised? Like, I think if you could do it and he keeps playing at the pretty reasonable level he's playing at, that makes sense. That's actually a good plan. My concern for Pittsburgh is that we're going to do the is he playing or not thing all over again. And Pittsburgh is probably going to have to make a decision sooner this time. Otherwise, it just kind of feels like a weird situation. Which it is weird. It's how it goes with him. If you guys want to be a part of future mailbags, or if you missed this one, then subscribe. Stop by. Next week, we'll have our live trade deadline coverage. Still do more NFL YouTube videos all off season long. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. From Jack Nicholson. Sure, that's it. Who is the next most likely cornerback trade candidate after the Roger McCreary deal? I would go with Reek Woolen. I know he played a little bit more because of injuries. Feels like Seattle just doesn't want him. And it's going to be a rental, but if you're not playing him, you're actually kind of tanking his trade value or his contract value and getting yourself less of a comp pick back. I would bet he gets moved. I forget who it was. Was it some like Tony Pauline would be like, yeah, Seattle's got in a Reek Woolen for Devon A-Chain trade. Like, well, duh. The Dolphins don't. So why even say it? Like, there's no benefit to that. Whatever. I digress. All right. Sting Like a Bee is next up here. Says Rattler to the Rams for a 5th or 6th round pick as Stafford's waiting in the wings successor. I don't know why the Rams would do that. Guys, Spencer Rattler just got benched by the Saints. Are we sure he's the waiting in the wings successor for anybody? I did appreciate the fun, like, 4 weeks, 5 weeks of, like, I don't know how to put this delicately. Nerd football, like, Spencer Rattler's playing good football. But I'm like, is he? Like, he's not terrible, and he's not making mistakes. He ain't making that many big plays either. And the wheels have fallen off the past 2 weeks. I don't think Rattler is the solution for anybody out there. I think he can just kind of be a backup in the end. All right, Christopher C. Who are some of your underrated quarterbacks for the 2026 class? And then what makes you like them? Good question. I'll be honest, I think I owe Brendan Sorsby apology for some texts I sent after first week of the season. That's the Cincinnati quarterback. He was horrible against Nebraska. And since then, he's been nails. He's got a lot of the stuff you like traits-wise, mobility, some arm strength, have put up some good numbers for a Bearcats team that like has kind of rallied the ship a little bit here. So I think that is certainly a huge factor in elements of that. I I don't love the quarterback class. A lot of the guys kind of fall into they've got traits, but I haven't done anything with them yet. From Betty White, I guess it's just a celeb day here in the comments. Why won't their teams trade Hendrickson, Crosby, and Simmons? I assume this is Jeffery Simmons. Those outside of Hendrickson, they're all under contract for multiple years. And, I think that's high asking prices. The Bengals don't think they're out of it yet. Maybe they should, but they don't think they're out of it yet. The Raiders and Crosby don't want to trade. So unless they get blown away, teams in general don't just give away their best players for the player you don't want and a mediocre pick. Name a player who you think ends up getting traded. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Final question from Rocket Raccoon. Reunite Logan Wilson with Pratt and Lou Anarumo in Indy. I wouldn't be shocked. It'd be kind of funny that ended up happening. I think Indy is one of the logical fits if the Bengals trade Logan Wilson. I would like to say I don't know if the Bengals made the right move benching Logan Wilson. I'm watching their young linebackers play, and they're not doing a good job. I'm not actually sure benching Wilson was the correct decision. And I wonder if the frustration from Wilson requesting that trade stemmed from him repeatedly watching his teammates not do a good job at that spot.